Hello students, I am again here with the second part of the chapter 3 questions. In the part 1 we had discussed a king wanted to know the answer to his 3 questions and he reaches the hut of a hermit in the jungle and he works for the hermit by digging the ground, but the hermit doesn't answer his questions. In this way the sun sets, it gets evening and the king doesn't get the answer to his questions, and there turns up someone. At the last the hermit had said, here comes someone, running. So here is the second part. The king turned round and saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was flowing. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. The king and the hermit. Here, when the hermit said that somebody is coming towards them running, the king turned round and saw that it was a bearded man who was running towards them, and he was pressing his stomach. He was pressing his stomach because the blood was coming out of his stomach because he had been injured. When he reached very much near them, he got unconscious. Fainted means to get unconscious, to fade. He got unconscious and he fell to the ground, and then the king and the hermit, the king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. The king washed and covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. The king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. Then king and hermit, they helped the wounded man. They removed his clothes and they saw that there was a large wound in his stomach. And the king first washed his wound and then he covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood was not stopped. It kept on flowing, and then the king had to redress, means dress it again, and then the bleeding stopped. The man felt better and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him. By this time the sun had set and the air was cool. The king with hermit's help carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. The man closed his eyes and lay quiet. The king, tired by his walk and the work he had done, lay down on the floor and slept through the night. When he awoke, it was several minutes before he could remember. Then the man started feeling better and he asked for something to drink, and king immediately went and he brought fresh water for him to drink. By this time it was already evening, the sun had set and it was a cool air which was blowing outside. So the king, with the help of the hermit, carried the wounded man inside the hut and made him take rest inside the hut on the bed. And then the man closed his eyes and he slept. The king was also tired because of his walk. He had come to the hermit as well as he had worked for the hermit. So he also laid down on the floor, meaning he also slept with the wounded man and he slept through the night. When he woke in the morning, it was several minutes before he could remember. Let's see, here is the picture. That bearded man who had come and whose stomach was having a wound which was dressed and redressed by the king with the help of the hermit, and then he was taken inside the hut to take rest. So several minutes before he could remember where he was or who the strange bearded man laying on the bed. So now it was the morning, and the king took a little time to understand where he is sleeping and who was that fellow with the beard lying on the bed nearby him. "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw that king was awake. "I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for," said the king. Now the person who was wounded, he asked for the forgiveness from the king, saying, "Forgive me," because the king was also awoken. But the king said, "Actually, I didn't know who you are, and why should I forgive you? What you have done what you have done something against me? Why should I forgive you?" Then the bearded man, means a wounded or bearded man, says, "You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore revenge on you, because you put my brother to death and seized my property. I knew you had gone alone to see that hermit, and I made up my mind to kill you on your way home. But the day passed and you didn't return. So I left my hiding place and I came upon your bodyguard, who recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from him, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wounds. I wished to kill you, and you have saved my life. Now, if I live, I will serve you as your most faithful servant, and you will order my sons to do the same. Forgive me." Now that bearded man discloses the secret. He says, "Sir, you don't know me, but I know you, because I am that enemy of yours who had taken a pledge to take a revenge on you. I wanted to take revenge from you because you had killed my brother, and you had also confiscated, seized my property, mean you had taken my property by force. And I also knew that you had gone to you had gone to jungle to see the hermit all alone. So I had made up my mind to kill you on the way. But I kept on waiting for you, and you did not return. The day passed, so I had to leave my hiding place, and I came upon your bodyguard. Means on the way, your bodyguard saw me, and he recognized me, and he wounded me, and I escaped from him, but I should have died. And I came to you in this condition, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wounds. Mean you saved my life. I wished to kill you, you saved my life. Now if I will be living, then I will serve you as your most faithful servant throughout my life, and also will ask my sons to be your faithful servant throughout their lives. So forgive me, king, forgive me." So in this way the king comes to know that he was his enemy. The king was very happy to have made a peace with his enemy. With his enemy so easily. So to have won him over as a friend, he not only forgave him, but said he would send his servants and his own doctor to look after him, and he promised to give back the man his property. Now the king was very happy that he had made peace with his enemy so easily. Means he just wanted to make peace with him, and in this way it was to happen. He hadn't thought, and he also had won his enemy as his friend. Means that enemy became his friend now, and he forgave him. He not only forgave him, but also told that I will send my servants and my doctor to take care of you, to look after you. And he also promised to the bearded man, the king also promised to the bearded man that I will give your property back. Okay. Then, leaving the wounded man, the king went out of the hut and looked round for the hermit. But going away he wished, before going away he wished once more to get answer to his questions. The hermit was on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king went up to the hermit and said, "For the last time, I beg you to answer my questions, wise man." So in this way now, the king wanted to leave the hut of the hermit. So, leaving the wounded man, the king went out of the hut and he searched for the hermit. And it came to his mind that before leaving the hut, I should once again try to get the answers to my questions. So he went to the hermit and he was on his knees. At that time, hermit was on his knees because he was sowing the seeds in the beds, because the beds were prepared only yesterday. King went up to the hermit and said, "Sir, for the last time, I beg you, please answer the questions, my 3 questions. I just want to have the answer." Now, what is the answer of the hermit? Let's see. The hermit says, "You have already been answered. You have already been answered," said the hermit, still bending down to the ground and looking up at the king as he stood before him. The hermit says, "You have already got the answer to the questions." And still he was bending down to the ground because he was sowing the seeds and looking up at the king as he stood before him. Then he stood up and looked up at the king. The king asked, "How have I answered? How have I been answered? What do you mean?" Then the hermit says, "Do you see?" replied the hermit. "If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, you would have gone away. Okay, then that man would have attacked you and you would have wished you had stayed with me. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds." So it was the answer to the first question. The hermit says that yesterday you showed your pity over my weakness because I am weak and it was difficult for me to dig the beds. And so you helped me for digging the beds and you stayed here till the evening and you did not return. If you had returned, then your enemy would have attacked you and you would have been killed. At that time you would have wished I had stayed back with the hermit, then I could have saved my life. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds. That was the most important time which you were asking for. What is the most important time? And I was the most important man. And to me, good was your most important business. And at that time, I was the most important man to whom you had to listen to, and do me good was your most important business. And third question was, to whom he should listen to, it was his second question. Okay, and third question is, what is the most important thing for him to do? And the third answer is, second question was that I was the most important man who was to be listened to, and the third answer is, to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when the man ran to us, the most important time was, more details are being provided with him. And I was the most important man, to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when the man ran to us, the most important time was when you were caring for him. That was the most important time that you cared for him, because if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. If you had not taken care of him, if you had not dressed his wounds, then you won't have been able to make peace with him, or he won't have been able to keep peace with you. So he was the most important man, and what you did for him was your most important business. Remember then? there is only one time that is important, and that time is now. Here is the answer. Important time is the present time when you are doing something. The present time is most important time, and that is now. It is most important time because it is the only time we have any power to act. In present we can do only, nobody can guess what is going to happen in the future, and past is already past. Nobody can go back to do or change anything done. So important time is the present, that is now. The most necessary person is the person you are with at a particular moment. Second question's answer. The most important, most necessary person is the person you are with at a particular moment, for no one knows what will happen in the future and whether we will meet anyone else. Okay? And the most important business is to do that person good, because we were sent into this world for that purpose alone. And the third answer is the most important business is to do the person with you are with, to do good to that person. That becomes the most important purpose, most important business, because we are sent into this world by the God to that purpose alone. So students, you might have got you along with the king might have got the answers to those three questions. The first question was, what is the right time to begin something? That is now. Second question, which people should we listen to, he listen to? That is the most important. What will happen in the future and whether we will meet anyone? The most necessary person is the person you are with at a particular moment, and for no one knows what will happen in the future and whether we will meet anyone else. And to do good with that person, and that person should be listened to. That is the answer to the second question, which people should he listen to. And at the end, because third question is, what is the most important thing for him to do? That is to do good with that person you are with at a particular time. Okay, so time, important time is now, and people you are with at that time, and important thing, that is to do good with that person, because we have come to this earth only to do good. Okay, this lesson was written by Leo Tolstoy. I hope you would have understood. If there are any doubts, then you may make a call to me, as well as you have to go through the chapter all alone, then you will understand in detail everything. Okay, and now about the comprehension check. Complete the following sentence by adding the appropriate parts of the sentences given in the box. Here you have to fill in the blanks, and here are the answers given in the box. You have to select the right option and fill it in the blanks. And here are the questions, exercise questions. You have to write down the answers. Why was the king advised to go to the magicians? In answer to the second question, whose advice did the people say would be important to the king? What suggestions were made in answer to the third question? Did the wise man win the reward? If not, why not? Okay, and how? Next is, how did the king and the hermit help the wounded man? Who was the bearded man? Why did he ask for the king's forgiveness? King forgave the bearded man. What did he do to show his forgiveness? What were the hermit's answer to the three questions? Write each answer separately. Which answer do you like the most and why? You also have to tell which answer you like the most. And this is about working with the language. Here are the meanings given. Wounded, what is the correct meaning of the word wounded? I am going to tell you one answer. The correct answer is severely injured. Wounded is severely injured. Second is awoke, and correct answer here you can see is got up from sleep. In this way you have to do the rest of the word meanings. Okay, and use any of the above words in sentences of your own. You have to do it also. And here each of the following sentences have two blanks. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate forms of the word given in the brackets. I am going to solve one. One has been already done in the text. Second means first I am going to do for you the word is judge. Correct form of the word judge is to be filled up here. The judge said, here would be the judge, same judge. The judge said that only fresh evidence would make him change his judgment. Now it will be judgment. In this way, you have to solve all the rest of the. You can do this work, fill in the blanks types only in the text, and you may write down the question answers in the notebook. And here are two more questions you have to write in your notebook. These will be long answer type answers. Imagine you are the king. Narrate the incident of your meeting. The hermit. Begin like this. You have been given the hints. You may begin like this, and you have to complete this. Imagine you are hermit. Write briefly the incident of your meeting the king. Begin like this. Okay. So in this way, you have to write these two long answer type questions. If you are having any doubts, any queries, you may make a call. Thank you. It was your teacher, Narinder Kumar, PZ English, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Naleti. Please stay safe, stay home, and stay healthy. Good luck. Have a good day.